It looks like we're going to be doing 2 videos today, because after the first video on the day, where we talked about Jacob Chansley getting released to the halfway house, aka the home for Brooks O'Halloran, news broke shortly after that Donald J. Trump has been indicted in the state of New York by Alvin Bragg. So, some time ago, he posted on Derf Serschel over there, that Chinese-backed failing social media network that he has. I've gained, and this is all caps. I mean, these screeds are crazy. This is even a positive screed that he's trying here, but I've gained such respect for this grand jury. You could tell that the begging. It's like going through the stages of grief when you go through the anger stage and then the pleading stage. You could tell in this when he was in the pleading stage, and by the way, this came out before his indictment. I've gained such respect for this grand jury, and perhaps even the grand jury system as a whole. The evidence is so overwhelming in my favor. By the way, this is when he thought he was in the clear because the grand jury was going on that vacation. Resuming. The evidence is so overwhelming in my favor and so ridiculously bad for the highly partisan and hateful district attorney that the grand jury is saying, hold on, we're not a rubber stamp, which most grand juries are branded as being. We are not going to vote against the preponderance of evidence or against... wow, he said preponderance. Jesus Christ. Who beat him across the face with a thesaurus in a dictionary that day? Vote against the preponderance of evidence or against large numbers of legal scholars, all saying there is no case here. No, I didn't say that. Drop this sick witch hunt now. You do not have the right to command anybody. Because Alvin Bragg said, this evening we contacted Mr. Trump's attorney to coordinate his surrender to the Manhattan DA's office for arraignment on a Supreme Court indictment, which remains under seal. Guidance will be provided when the arraignment date is selected. And of course, we have Ron DeSantis, who's going to get his own video coming up pretty soon. I was not expecting this to jump the queue, but it is timely. The weaponization of the legal system to advance a political agenda turns the rule of law on its head. It's un-American. The Soros-backed Manhattan District Attorney, boy, they love saying this so much. I mean, it is as commonplace to see this said as much as the right is currently discussing how the Nashville shooter was trans shooter. The Soros-backed Manhattan District Attorney has consistently bent the law to downgrade felonies to excuse criminal misconduct, yet now he's stretching the law to target a political opponent. Florida will not assist in an extradition request given the questionable circumstances at issue with this, here it is again, Soros-backed Manhattan prosecutor. It's just like somebody opens their back, like Twiggy on Buck Rogers, and just starts putting in punch cards. And the wording is always the same when they do this. Soros-backed Manhattan prosecutor. Soros-backed, trans shooter. The right likes to parade around this example. And they did this a while back, and it surfaces every now and then, where they have this ever-growing collage of media personalities, newscasters, saying the same thing, and it's like 1 frame, it's 2 frames, it's 4 frames, and they seem to all be in sync saying the same thing. They don't realize that they themselves have done the exact same thing. And what Ron DeFascimonius is over here saying, he's doing the exact same thing. The more times you say Soros-backed Manhattan prosecutor, doesn't change what's happening, and it doesn't change the rule of law. Needless to say, Stormy Daniels is having a blast, and the maggots are coming out of the woodwork. You're going to see the religious right coming out and attacking her and defending Trump. And let's be clear on something over here. The evangelical right, the Christian right, the Catholic religious right, all of that, however you want to phrase it, has been the single most misled group in Trump's support structure than you can possibly imagine. There'll be a direct video on this sometime, but in summation, Falwell Jr. is the one who is responsible for sending the religious right, the evangelical set, to Trump against Hillary at the time. Now, I cannot say I've ever seen any religious posturing from Hillary Rodham Clinton at any point. However, Biden has. And many of the tack ads that Trump used during the 2020 election campaign, they were attack ads against Biden to make him look quote-unquote sleepy and literally asleep. One of the ads was supposed to be him literally asleep. When he was not asleep, he was praying. But the Trump campaign used several cropped photos to prove a point. One of the other ones, and we've talked about this on the channel, was a cropped photo of Biden at a Super Bowl party, and Trump spun it to being, oh, look at Biden alone in his house. Nobody's around him because nobody likes Biden. It was a cropped photo, and when expanded, you could see a rather large Super Bowl party around Biden. They did the same thing where Biden was praying in church, and Trump claimed he was asleep. The man has shown at least some religious tendencies, and Biden is supporting the prayer breakfast. He's done it. Whereas Trump can't hold a Bible the correct way, cannot name his favorite Bible verse, and cannot say a prayer when asked to do so on a podcast. In case you haven't seen this one's only a few weeks old. Trump was asked to speak religiously on a podcast and lead a prayer, and there was just silence. It was like, okay, Trump, blah, 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 lead this prayer, blah. Hello, the phone doesn't seem to be working. I don't know if you can hear me, but yay, Trump, 2024, 2020 was stolen from me. I won bigly 3,000 times now. Thank you, goodbye. Like, it was so obviously bad. And then later on, they tried to make the claim that leftists were hacking the stream and causing problems when he just sat there and literally did like the Men in Black thing when Michael Jackson's like, I could be Agent M. And he's like, I gotta let you go. The connection's breaking up. Wait, no, don't do this to me. I could be Agent M. And he's like, click. And Rip Torn cuts him off and everything like that. That's what he did. He's never in one moment, in no way, shape, or form, has shown any religious bent whatsoever. And no, sitting in the Oval Office at the desk with having a bunch of people put hands on his shoulder and him making look like he's praying, that doesn't count. That's posturing. I could make my cat do that with enough treats and enough time. He's not a religious man. And the religious people were thrown his direction by somebody whose life has literally fallen apart because he inserted himself into politics. Falwell Jr. gets off on watching his wife bang the pool boy, has had scandalous photos of him published, and is a drunk, and was kicked out of Liberty University and fired for the way his life was going. And then he did an interview in Vanity Fair and said, I'm not what my name implies me to be. You should not look at me that way. He's actually telling you are right to judge me the way that you are because I am not religious and you shouldn't think of me that way. He's telling you that. And this is the man who sent the religious right over to Trump. And he became anointed as God's candidate. Well, God's candidate has now been indicted. God's candidate is a multiple failure, a multiple divorcee, an adulterer, a cheater. I mean, I'm not even going to discuss the P word over here. This is YouTube. We'll have to talk about that some other day. But this man shows who he is. He tells you who he is in Art of the Deal. You just didn't pay attention. And now it's coming due. And it has nothing to do with weaponization of justice. It has nothing to do with somebody being Soros-backed, or Bezos-backed, or Gates-backed, or Murdoch-backed, or Koch-backed. None of that matters when judged by the eyes of the law. Now, I caution people to think that they can go out in the streets and celebrate. This is not guilt. This is an indictment. This is the first step possibly towards guilt, and also the first step towards possibly being vindicated and found innocent. And you're going to have the rise of the same people that go, oh, he wasn't impeached twice because it didn't pass the Senate. Let's remember, folks, Bill Clinton is considered impeached for lying about getting a Hummer from Monica Lewinsky. Okay, let's remember that. Bill Clinton, one of the most effective presidents in modern American history, is impeached. To this day, nobody tries to say he was not impeached. No, Bill Clinton, like it or not, was impeached. The same way Donald Trump, like it or not, is doubly impeached and got voted out in 2020. So there we go, folks. Donald Trump indicted by the Manhattan DA. Let's go take a look at impeach Biden over here. Let's see what this is going on about. No one says a thing about Biden's incoherence. No, that's not true. People talk about Biden's incoherence all the time. Even leftist media talks about it, like Seth. There's plenty of times where I watch Seth talking about Biden and he makes fun of him. Oh God, Marjorie Taylor Greene, what a complete idiot. And so, by the way, this shows you how bad. Here's Antonio Sabato Jr. posting a picture that has proven to have come from somewhere between 2014 and 2016. This is not the U.S. equipment that was left behind in the 2021 withdrawal. This isn't it. We destroyed the equipment that was left behind as much as we could. This, if you Google image search this comes up as a standard military depot, and it comes from circa 2014, 2016 or so. That is not the picture that the right is claiming it was. But, you know, that's rightoid spin for you. But, Donald Trump indicted. So be prepared for the absolute amount of magateers that are going to be spewing on social media in the next few days. And it's going to be interesting to see when he gets picked up. But here, DeSantis is saying that he's not going to assist. Florida doesn't need to do anything. Florida can't stop this. Florida is a open toll booth. There is nothing they can do or interfere with in this whatsoever. They're going to go down there and they're going to get him. And Ron DeSantis, who is posturing it with this tweet, and that's all, cannot do a blessed thing. Ron needs to focus on how the mouse just took Ron DeSantis on Space Mountain and dropped him on his head from the highest peak of the roller coaster. Which, by the way, is indoors, so it's not that high. But still, Ron DeSantis just got dropped on his head by Mickey Mouse. And that's going to be a different video. He tried to play this one so hard, and he was so deftly outmaneuvered. it is beyond hysterical what Disney has done to Ron this week. But anyway, folks, this is the Political Napalm signing off on this, the day of our glorious Trump indictment. Have a good one. Okay, it looks like I'm back. I'm not quite done yet. I'm adding this as an addendum to the video because I happened to catch it before I started compiling the video over here and rendering it. So I'm going to add one little last piece over here. Here is the Trump official statement on it. No presidential seal. It's just his typical 5-star, which, God, I don't think Trump has ever had a 5-star anything in his life. But here is the statement by Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States of America. I think I'll try to do it in a Trump impersonation, but it may not be the best as I don't necessarily actively practice this. The first paragraph, political persecution, election interference, this is somewhat interesting because I'm surprised you know these words, but in typical Trump fashion, you know it was made by him because political persecution and election interference are randomly capitalized. And God, I cannot wait until I have to stop reading things spelled out, typed out by him, because the crazy capitals have got to go. And you can tell who is a ridiculous Trumper fan because they begin to do it too. They will start the stupid capitalization where they don't belong because Trump does it, and that's how much of an effect he has on them. But here we go. This is political persecution and election interference at the highest level in history. From the time I came down the golden escalator at Trump Tower, and even before I was sworn in as your president of the United States, the radical left Democrats, the enemy of the hardworking men and women of this country, have been engaged in a witch hunt to destroy the Make America Great Again movement. You remember it just like I do. The Russia, the Mueller hoax, Ukraine, impeachment hoax 1, impeachment hoax 2, the illegal and unconstitutional Mar-a-Lago raid, and now this. The Democrats have lied, cheated, and stolen in their huge obsession with trying to get Trump. But now they've done the unthinkable, I'm saying indicating because that's how he just spelled it out recently. He didn't spell it as indicting. Indicating a completely innocent person in an act of blatant election interference. Never before in our nation's history has this been done. The Democrats have cheated countless times over the decades, including spying on my campaign, but weaponizing our justice system to punish a political opponent who just so happens to be a president of the United States. I almost stopped because I thought it said the president of the United States and I was about ready to lose my shit. And by far, the leading Republican candidate for president has never happened before, ever. It's so Trump. This is so Trump. It's incredible. It is always the biggest thing has happened. It has never happened before like this. This is the most hugely, bigly thing of all time. Everything has to be blown up. It's either the super biggest, most negative thing ever because it's happening against him, or the super biggest, most awesome thing ever because it's happening created by him. So therefore it's good. This is all right. We just got 2 more paragraphs to go, guys. Bear with the bad impersonation here. The Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg, who was handpicked and funded by George Soros, is a disgrace. Rather than stopping the unprecedented crime wave taking over New York City, he's doing Joe Biden's dirty work. Joe Biden has nothing to do with this. Nothing whatsoever. Joe Biden is not commanding him to do this. There's no proof of it. It is a complete and utter conspiracy to think anybody other than Alvin Bragg is doing this on his own. Continuing. Ignoring the murders, burglaries, and assaults he should be focused on. This is how Bragg spends his time. I believe this witch hunt will backfire massively on Joe Biden. The American people realize exactly what the multiple capital radical left Democrats are doing here. Everyone can see it. So our movement with a capital, no. No. And our party, no. No, it's not your party. You are so on the fringe of what actually makes a good conservative Republican that it is not your party now. And you've talked about splitting off and forming a MAGA party. You can't do this. You cannot weave in and out of the right, the proper right, at your leisure. It doesn't work that way. They don't help you when you need it, and they're not supposedly against you when you don't care about them. It is not your party, and movement and party are not capitalized. United and strong will first defeat Alvin Bragg, and then we will defeat Joe Biden, and we're going to throw every last one of these crooked capital Democrats out of office so that we make America great again. The statement is salad. It is complete and utter it is inedible salad with no dressing, nothing good in this whatsoever. This may as well be 15 pounds of spinach and nothing else. Just raw, leafy spinach. It's pathetic. It's whiny. This does not portray confidence whatsoever. And all the things he listed, like Russia, happened. Collusion? Maybe not. Actual interference on his behalf in terms of assisting him? Yes. Mueller hoax? We all forget. Mueller said he could be charged when he was not the president. Words directly from Mueller. Ukraine. It happened. We heard it. We heard the audio. It exists. Can't unring that bell. And he was impeached once, and he was impeached twice. None of this is power whatsoever. This is all just straight baby whining, which is on par for the man who wears diapers. Ask Noel Kessler about that one. Okay, so take two, and the political napalm signing off.